Hey, my name's James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about the surprising amount of people that want to get into buy-to-let that don't currently do it. This actually surprised me, this data. It's from a company called Market Financial Solutions. They've surveyed thousands of people through all age groups, and it does change massively dependent on age how much people want to do buy-to-let property. But even with all the difficulties that landlords are facing, it's still something that a good chunk of people aspire to do. So in this video, we're going to talk about what the types of people that are looking to do buy-to-let, what kind of age range they are, what sort of percentage they are. But I'm also going to talk about what strategies work in property at the moment. So just in case you are someone that's thinking about doing buy-to-let, this will really help you get a decision made and get you some clarity. Now, if you're new around here and you haven't done already, do make sure you subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We're on the way to 44,000 subscribers. And by subscribing, you'll get all the latest property investment news, you'll get house price news, you'll get interest rate news, and much, much more. And let's get some views on this video. How do we do that? Simple. Smash like, tick or like, do something to that like button. That really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and that's really helped the channel grow. So thank you to everybody that does that when you watch our videos. So, it's interesting. If you watch the videos that we talk about, there's a lot of bad news for landlords over the last few years. You've got the Renters' Rights Bill, which worries a lot of existing landlords. And that means that it's a bit harder to get your property back maybe because no-fault evictions are going away. You've got potentially some fines that you can get if you don't look after the property. And you've got to consider pets and stuff like that. You've got Section 24, which hits a lot of existing landlords quite badly because historically for decades, since the 80s or 90s when buy-to-let started, you'd buy the property in your personal name. It's not very tax efficient to do that anymore, but new buy-to-let investors don't have that problem. So the Section 24 is not a problem for them because they can buy in a limited company, and that fixes a lot of the problems. EPCs is worrying landlords as well. The energy performance certificates. In fact, I've got a video coming out where maybe it isn't worrying as many people as I thought because maybe not many people actually know about this EPC stuff. So that's a reason to subscribe and find out more about that stuff as we talk about it. But look, there's a lot of people that want to get into buy-to-let. In fact, it's a third of adults want to buy-to-let. They want to own a buy-to-let or get into the buy-to-let business. That's a considerable chunk of people. Now that massively changes at different age ranges. And if you look at people that are 18 to 34, the data that they've got says 50% of those people want to get into buy-to-let. Now that could be because they've seen aspirational stuff on TikTok, on Instagram, Snapchat, and various places like that. There is a lot of that sort of content around, and that could have drawn them into wanting that buy-to-let portfolio, and so that has got their interest peaked. But that's a lot of people. 50% of younger people, 18 to 34, are interested in getting buy-to-let properties. But that drops when people get over 55. It drops that only 14% of people over 55 are interested in getting into the buy-to-let game. Maybe they're a little bit more cautious then because it's coming up to pension age, they can't afford to make any mistakes. Look, you could invest in a buy-to-let property at 18, it could all go wrong and you've got time to fix it. So that does make a big difference in people's decisions. So I understand that data, but that's interesting. So if I was going to get into buy-to-let, one more thing, what also is attracting them is the yields are getting better. They have been improving. And so the yields on buy-to-let this year have gone up to 7.11%. So it's not necessarily that people aren't making a good yield. It's some of the legislation that's making other existing landlords a little worried. So what about buy-to-let? Does it work and could you do it? Well, yes, I think buy-to-let does work, but I've got a caveat. So I think if you're looking at buy-to-let, where I'm talking about a standard buy-to-let, where you buy a property that doesn't need any work and you just rent it out. I think you've got to really look in the north of England to do that kind of stuff, because the properties are affordable there. The rents are still fairly high, realistic to what your property is. And you can make some decent money in the north of England without having to do big refurbishments and really making it difficult for yourself. If you want it simple, that can work there. Another strategy, rather than buy to let, that people can do is you can buy a property and rent it out as serviced accommodation on Airbnb and platforms like that. Now, we talked this week about that isn't working in some areas. So I wouldn't be looking at coastal towns, especially in the southwest. The southwest is struggling. A lot of people are leaving that industry there. People aren't necessarily going on holiday down there as much as well at the moment. Now we can go and fly all over. So yeah, it's interesting. Service accommodation, if I was going to do it, I would be looking at small little cities and small little towns. I talk about a friend of mine who does it in Dorking. That's where I am right now, in Dorking in Surrey. He does a service accommodation in Dorking. There's not loads of people. He has a house that he puts out, not particularly big house, a two-bed little cottage, and there's only about 4 or 5 other houses. There's a few little apartments here that people do it, but it's not massive. It's not like if you go to Brighton, where there are thousands of Airbnb. So if you want to do it, look at these smaller locations, and that does really well. HMOs are good as well. So HMO is where you rent a property out on a room-by-room basis. You buy one property, and rather than renting it out to one person for £1,000, you make a 3-bedroom house a 5-bedroom HMO, because you turn the dining room into a bedroom, you turn the living room into a bedroom, you do a bit of building work and make it all regulated and pass all the rules on that. But then you could get £500 per room and you get £2,500 in that scenario. But you've obviously got to pay the bills out of that as well. But you can make much more money with HMOs. That's a good strategy. But my favourite strategy, and the one I do, is called the BRRRR. And that stands for buy, refurbish, refinance, rent. Buy, refurbish, refinance, rent. We've got some videos on the channel where we did that here. We bought one literally down the road from here. Bought a studio flat last year. We bought it for 120. We refurbed it for £6,000. Often people don't believe me when I say that. You can watch the videos on the channel where we're doing it. We bought a small little galley kitchen. It's a tiny little kitchen. Couldn't make it bigger because it is the size it is. There's a small bathroom. A bathroom suite doesn't cost you a lot. Decorating, carpets. We only needed the bedroom, living room carpeted. That wasn't really much money. That was a couple £100. And that was it. Like, it really wasn't a big deal. But we got it revalued later that summer, and it was valued at 180. Now, the reason for that is we bought it for someone that just wanted a quick sale. There was no chain. We were experienced. We were able to offer cash. It was a bridging loan to get that. And that made it easier and faster. That's what they wanted there. So the buy, refurbish, refinance strategy is a great little strategy. It doesn't always work out that well. Sometimes it works out better, sometimes worse. But the point is that you buy somewhere, you add value to it, you refurbish it, then you refinance it, and then you rent it out. Now, if you want to get into buy-to-let, then we have a program called the Fundamentals of Property Investing. It's £20. It's bonkers cheap. I'm not talking £20 a month. It's £20 one-off. We talk about all of those strategies and others. We talk about how to source properties below market value, how to do the refurbishments, how to market the properties, how to do the loans and bridging deals and mortgages and stuff like that. It's £20. It's a no-brainer deal. I'm going to link to it in the description. Go and check it out and grab it while it's only £20. Make sure as well you check out all the other content as well on the channel, including this video right here.